And welcome back to another cold episode. I have been sick recently, but the OCG just came out with their Forbidden Unlimited list, and I figured I'd talk about it. Now, real quick, before we hop into any of that, I do have to actually talk about the meta for it right now. So let's hop over to Road to the King and show you what the meta looks like. Alright, so here was the most recent metagame for the past couple of weeks. That being, Rescue Ace is actually the most represented deck in Top Cut. However, that's not nearly by a large percentage. It is kind of spread out across a wide variety of decks, and even old decks that have been hit very much so into the ground are still winning tournaments. Tira and Kashtira have been still winning pretty consistently a lot of big events. You also have things like Dragon Link, Super Heavy Samurai, Adamancipator, Mathmech, Branded, Runic, Pearly, Vanquish Soul has even done pretty well. Though Vanquish Soul never really seems to win, it does have some pretty good runs, and there's been a whole bunch of other things. Labyrinth has been doing good, Mana Dome, I've seen Dinosaur doing pretty well, etc, etc. Lots of decks to play, and it is just kind of wild the amount of decks that are currently playable. Now, honestly, this Forbidden Unlimited list, I haven't seen it at all. No, I've seen like 2 cards. Honestly, the Forbidden Unlimited list, I would imagine, is going to be terrible, but more specifically, I do think that they're going to hit things like Tyr and Kashtira, seeing as how they've been around forever, even though more realistically, they don't need to hit those cards, they just need to unhit a lot of the stuff that's like right below the top. Like, Rescue Ace, in no world, should be the top deck. Even though it's like relatively good, it just shouldn't be the best. There are much better decks, like Pearly should probably be arguably the best, but that one was hit, I believe. Maybe it wasn't, actually. But there's a bunch of stuff like that where it's just like, oh, yeah, the tier stuff, the Kashtira stuff should probably be hit more, but it's just kind of everything in the OCG is basically untouched. So we're going to start off here with Ancient Fairy Dragon. Yeah, it's coming to 3, not surprising. It does have the hard ones per turn. It was at 2, moving up to 3. These are all the Unlimits as well. We now have Gazelle at 3 as well, which was previously at 2. Same with Saryuya, same with Ptolemaeus. Steam the Cloak, Thunder Dragon Hawk. Tenki is finally off of the list because of Tri-Brigade. It was there for Tri-Brigade reasons. Still at... well, now it's at 3. So I think they still have Fractal at 2. Don't quote me on that, though. Nadir Servant is now at 3 as well. Spellbook of Judgment. Okay, so now we have the newly semi-limited list. We have Armageddonite going to 2. That is wild to me. That's crazy. Armageddonite is notably a very, very strong card. Being able to, on normal summon, send any... or just on summon, I believe. Yeah. On summon, send any dark monster to the graveyard is quite powerful, and a lot of decks really do like this. However, because of the fact that most of those decks that do like it are specifically things that are very combo-centric, it means that the OCG is like, well, we have Max C to deal with the combo-centric stuff, which it doesn't solve any of the issues. They're probably like, yeah, Armageddonite can go back to 2 at the very least. I still don't like it, but alas. I would love that as a Shaddoll player. That'd be great. Give me more normal summons that actually do anything. Cool. But alas, it doesn't really matter all that much. Cool. Moving on, we have ourselves Bike. Super Heavy Samurai Bike is now at 2 as well. I hate the semi-limited list, honestly, unless you are moving things from 1 to see how well they are going to be at more than 1 copy. Or like from banned to unlimited, basically. Otherwise, you should basically not use the semi-limited list. The OCG disagrees heavily with me, and I think that they are incorrect with their assumptions. And Bike at 2 literally doesn't change anything. Oh no, you have 1 less copy. Your deck is ever so slightly more inconsistent. That doesn't matter. That doesn't change anything for Super Heavy Samurai. Basically a non-hit. Meow Meow Mew. Sure, it goes back to 2. Whatever, I don't care. I don't think it's gonna matter, but I honestly don't like giving prank kids multiple free combo extension while also having multiple access to like double Raigeki and stuff like that. I just think it's a bit absurd, but okay, sure. Block Dragon. Okay, so Adamancipator, aka Super Heavy Samurai Adamancipator stuff. That whether that's the Super Heavy Samurai or the Adamancipator stuff, both use Block Dragon very heavily. So putting Block Dragon to 2, now granted they were playing 3, but putting it to 2 doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. Nothing has changed, nothing happens, nothing moves, nothing is different. You can still get it with Gallant Granite just as commonly. Having 2 of this doesn't really change much. You still have access to it off of a grass or something like that. Like, that doesn't do anything. I literally just talked about this with Super Heavy Samurai Bike. This doesn't change anything. A hilarious change, but sure. Like, at least put it to 1, and then at the very least, like, if you called by it, maybe it does something. Like, I just don't understand the thought process behind that, but sure. And that's it. Okay, cool. That's the semi-limited list. 2 really hilarious changes, and 2 unlimits. Newly limited, we have Monkey Board. Yeah, Monkey Board's at 1 in the TCG, not doing anything. However, we also don't have access to Electromite. I'm not a big fan of this with Electromite coming, or still being around, so maybe they ban Electromite. They're not going to do that, but maybe they do. Who knows? Maybe. I would like that. If they banned Electromite, they could release like half of the pendulums on the list, like genuinely. Probably even more than that. And honestly, you could still do that in the TCG. There are a whole bunch of cards that are limited or banned in the TCG that are pendulums that just don't need to be. So there you go. Circular to 1. This was a new hit for Mathmech in the TCG as well, and I do really like it. Circular is kind of a dumb card in its ability to basically be full combo every turn. Now, granted, if you only have access to it once, I think that's fine, and there are still millions of ways to... Okay, not millions, but there are still a lot of ways to get to Circular, that being with, like, Small World, or Signet Mining, or searching it off of your, Alimbertion? Yeah, Alimbertion, or there are a whole bunch of other ways to get there, I am sure. But Circular is just like 1 card starter, and it's something that you can kind of throw into any cyber strategy, and all of a sudden it is now infinitely better, because you throw in 3 of this, a Diameter, a Sigma, and a Super Factorial, and now you get to end on a Hand Rip and a Negate, as well as, like, whatever else it may be with that Circular, which is kind of crazy. So a bit absurd, and I do like the hit. Moving on, we have Soulpiercer to 1. This is actually a decent hit. Soulpiercer oftentimes was utilized to go into multiple different searches off of the Super Heavy Samurai stuff. However, this card can honestly be utilized multiple times, even with just the 1 copy. However, this does mean that you are less likely to draw it, which means drawing it makes it more inconsistent and stuff like that. I do like the hit that they did in the TCG a little bit more by banning the Link 1. I think Link 1s are just inherently stupid and are a bit overpowered. So I do think that hitting a Link 1 is more likely to solve issues, and then you can kind of reform a deck around that banned Link 1. And so, like, limiting this, I'm like, that's not really worthwhile, as compared to just banning a singular card. But alas, if they don't want to ban a card, I do think that this is a good hit overall. Lowering the consistency. I guess they probably don't want to kill Super Heavy Samurai like they did in the TCG, but honestly, if it's not absolutely insane and incredibly consistent, with Maxi around, it's just not going to be worth it. So I do think that just hitting the deck in general is going to kill it. Moving on. Whoa. MX Saber Invoker is coming off of the list. That's... okay. Alright. That's weird. Now, if you don't know what this card does, it's a very simple effect. It is also a soft once per turn, so having it at 1 is fine, theoretically, but you detach a material from this card to special summon at level 4 Earth, Warrior, or Beast Warrior monster from your deck in defense position, destroy it during the end phase. This was utilized with Zodiacs in order to go into the full Zoo combo. You would special summon a Ratpier. The Ratpier, I believe the Ratpier. Yeah, Ratpier would do the full line, and since it doesn't negate any effects, it's kind of crazy. This is a very good card. It can also be made with a singular card, that being Terror Top. So Terror Top, you would special summon it, and then you would grab your Takatomborg. Takatomborg would special summon itself, you XZ into the 3, and then you're off to the races. I don't know what is currently... I don't know what currently would be good that would make Invoker overpowered in any regard, but this is just a scary unhit. seeing this, I'm like, okay, that's worrisome, because I'm sure that there are level 4 warriors or beast warriors. I mean, you could still do the Zodiac stuff, right? So, a bit weird, but I don't hate it. I don't think it is all that scary. I do think keeping it at 1 is kind of necessary, given the fact that if you were to be able to make multiple of this, it could get a bit out of hand, which is where I think the problem arises. But alas, I think at 1, I think it's fine. Just kind of interesting to see. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Oh, Sleepy Memory. Discard a card. Any battle or effect damage you take, purely exceed against this during the standby phase, you can draw a card. So, Sleeping Memory, I think, isn't actually the best of the Pearly cards. I believe it's Delicious Memory. So, having Sleepy Memory hit is fine. I think this is, like, the second best of the Pearly cards, given the ability to, like, draw a card during the standby phase, which I think most of the Pearly Xyz have, or the Pearly effects have. But, specifically, the ability to, next battle damage or effect damage you take this turn would become 0, means that your OTK strategy becomes a little bit better. But all things considered, I think that this is a fine hit. Pearly does just kind of need less of the quick plays, so I think that's pretty good. And again, going back to this, Pearly is the second best deck. Sure, makes sense. I'm surprised so far we haven't seen any hits to the Rescue Ace archetype. Granted, that is a relatively new top deck, so I would kind of be surprised to see it hit, given the fact that a lot of these other things have had their time to shine. Moving on, Pot of Prosperity to 1. This card should be banned. I genuinely do believe it. It's so incredibly annoying watching the TCG, or even playing in the TCG, and having this card basically be full combo by itself, basically every time. It's crazy how powerful this card is, especially just like in every deck. It's good. There's like one deck, Sprite maybe, that doesn't play this at 3 copies. Maybe. Sometimes they do, even then, because, yeah, sure, not everything is going to come up and you still play it because it's still incredibly powerful. But yeah, Pot of Prosperity is a crazy card. Just, like, it's arguably better than Pot of Greed in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I wouldn't say that it is definitively better, but you could make that argument, and I would hear you out. It's a crazy card. Good to see it at 1. Runic Fountain at 1. Sure, Runic was the third best deck. Runic's very good in the OCG when you have access to the sprites and to the live twins, on top of all of the Runic stuff as well, and then on top of that Maxi as well. I don't think that this is the hit that they want. I think hitting something like Inspector Border would be a better option, given the fact that Inspector Border and Amano Awato are some of the biggest stun cards in the OCG right now, specifically with Runic. So, you know, that would probably be better than hitting Fountain, but alas, Fountain 1, sure. Oh, okay, and that's it for the limits. Moving on to the bans. Fenrir. Yeah. I'm not surprised. Kashira was one of the best decks, as we saw here. It's still hanging around. It's still there, along with Tyr. Both were playing, you know, Kashira, Fenrir. Fenrir is still just a good card. Hey, being able to search out Unicorn is pretty good. And then it also just kind of does full combo. I don't think that's necessary, but alas, here we are. Soul Breaker Armor. What is this card? You can target a super heavy samurai monster you control. Equip this monster from your hand. It loses that in defense, so it cannot be destroyed by battle. This card is in your graveyard. You can banish all super heavy samurai Soulbreaker Armors from your graveyard, and the target super heavy samurai monster in on the field whose current defense is lower than its original defense. Inflict damage to your opponent equal to the difference between its current defense and original defense. Huh? Why is this banned? This has to be used in some sort of FTK. I saw that there was this. These, the Super Heavy Samurai Gallus FTKs and a Super Heavy Samurai FTK. Okay, that's probably what this is. I would imagine it's a burn card for Super Heavy Samurai. You just, like, use this, banish a whole bunch of things. Oh, it's probably, like, Get Out Big Ben K. Current defense and original defense. I don't know. Is that a hard once per turn? It's not. There's no once per turn on this at all. I see. So you would go like, equip this to a thing, make your defense of a guy 0 in some capacity. banish, burn for 35. I wouldn't know the exact combo, but yeah, this is definitely an FTK thing. They're banning it. Cool. Moving on, Cyberstein, good. I'm not going to talk about that one. Smoke Grenade, good, yeah. I think this is banned in all formats now. Yay, Smoke Grenade is banned, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, love to see that. And that's it. That's it. Wow. Tier was untouched. Tier was untouched. Branded was untouched. Fine. That's good. Adamantimator was more or less untouched. Unless you're talking about the Grass Super Heavy Samurai, Ishizu, Vernish Ilf, Adamantimator that everyone's actually playing. Which is actually just Super Heavy Samurai, in which case, okay. Dragon Link was untouched. Vanquish Soul was untouched. That's cool. That's cool. Super Heavy Samurai is also still very playable. Same with Adamantimator. Honestly, looking at these limitations and these unhits and stuff like that, yeah, honestly, these are... I don't think this changes much. I think Tier is still one of the best decks, which is hilarious. Dude, like, the OCG is just not allowed to not play Tier for some reason. It's very funny. Like, Tier has been around for so long, and they've hit them, like, extensively, but it's also one of those things where it's like, the OCG is just so weak, and people just want to play Tier. So it's very funny. Fenrir is the ban to Kashtira. I would have banned Unicorn, but okay, that sure. Unicorn is at 1, I believe, in the OCG. So there's that. Cyberstein. These are, man, the OCG is weird. Certainly some hits. I don't really have anything else to say. Pearly is still very playable. Super Heavy Samurai is still very playable. Mathmech is still very playable, though certainly weaker. Yeah, okay. Nothing really changed. Maybe like 2 decks came out of the, like, probably drop. Like, Mathmech's probably not as prominent. Kashtira's probably not as prominent. Super Heavy Samurai is probably not as prominent, but not by much. Like, what else are people gonna play? Rescue Ace? Vanquish Soul, maybe? Probably not. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this changes much, and I don't really think that it needed to. But I'm also just like, cool, great, fantastic. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, like us very much, so appreciate it. And if you want to check out more content like this as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.